Welcome to the Chorus Communications Summer School Lunch and Learn webinar series. I'm your summer school host, Jamie Scotto-Kataya, CEO of JSA, and I am very honored to be spending the next 5 weeks with you right up until the end of August for these 1-hour webinar sessions every Wednesday starting at noon Eastern. And we have a few folks to thank. First and foremost, of course, Chorus Communications for putting together another fantastic, creative way to get more channel education out to the marketplace. And thank you to our webinar partner, Eat Engage. Because of their registration platform, each week a lunch of your choice will be arriving to your door. Love this idea, it's so cool. So go ahead, chow down while learning, all during your lunch hour. This is the lunch order you selected when registering, so hopefully your meals arrived by now and you're kicking back and learning. Also, make sure that you re-register each week so you can reorder a new lunch. So register and register again, don't forget. And also today's presenting company, Flexential. You want to make sure that you stick around here. We're going to hear some fabulous news about this growing company and all of the great services and offerings that they provide and can provide moving forward. So get ready. This is going to be a fabulous event today. I want to, again, thanks to our chorus and our presenters, we are able to provide a little extra bonus if you attend all 7 webinars. So don't forget, register again. And one last housekeeping note, we will be doing a weekly drawing for a $100 gift certificate for all those who have pre-submitted questions before we hop on today's call. So thanks to those who have already come up with some questions ahead of time, the drawing will be done at the conclusion of the webinar. And hey, it's never too late for a really good question. We want to hear from you. Today's presenters, Flexential, they're excited to hear your questions. So go ahead and type them in the chat box. So if you scroll over that Zoom box, a little nav will appear. Chat will be one of those options. Go ahead and give us a holler while they're making their presentation. And we'll get to our audience Q&A at the conclusion of their presentation. All right, so enough of me chatting. Let's get started. This week's presenters, Ken McCoy, he's the Regional Vice President of Sales Northeast for Flexential. Ken, welcome to the table. And I know Mr. Jared Walter is there with you as well. Jared, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So, you know, instead of me rattling on with a bio and everyone falling asleep right at the get-go, I figured a fun little interview would kick us off in a high gear here. So,
that would be great.
So Ken, can we start with you? Tell us a little bit about your role in the organization.
So with Flexential, I am the Regional Vice President for the Northeast region, and it's a brand new region for us. We'll talk about the company overall in a little bit, but we're new to the region as of just the latter part of 2017 last year, and I've been tapped by the company to really assist in getting the Flexential name out there and the brand out there, the brand recognition, and really talk up the great capabilities that the company provides.
Love it. And Jared, your role?
Yeah, 8 years with the organization as a senior account executive. And my role, I report directly to Ken, and that's to help our prospects and our clients and our partners understand who we are in the marketplace and how we deliver our service offering to those who are in need to help drive their businesses online and continue to help them grow and succeed.
And that's a great transition actually to my next question. What are the key differentiators for Flexential and particularly your partner program?
Well, the first thing I think to mention, especially for this forum today, is we're extremely channel friendly. And I think that is a key differentiator for our partners. Specifically, I would say when we say channel friendly, the sales team itself, it's mutual comp for my sales team and Jared specifically. So we're encouraged to push opportunities through the channel because we're not impacted, and it's actually a benefit for us to get scale in the region. So we're extremely channel friendly, and I think that's a benefit that we provide that is maybe a little bit different than our competitive peers. So that's certainly one of our strengths. I would also say the breadth of our services, and we'll touch on that in detail, but I think that really enhances the channel because of just all the capabilities that we can provide. We do have 2 channel managers in the region. I think that's unique relative to, again, my peers in the marketplace. But again, that emphasizes the fact that we are so channel friendly that we've really engaged and we put the resources in place to support the channel efforts here, specifically in the region. And I think just today, what you're doing, Jamie and Buffy, is a key example. I think we have, and especially with the channel managers that we have in the region, we have ongoing training for our partners. We have spiffs to really incent them. So I think those are some of the key differentiators that get us off the ground and separate us relative to our competitive peers.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a testament to how channel friendly and focused on channel education that you're here joining us today. So we thank you for that. What client verticals does your company really successfully target?
Yeah, excellent question. So there's a number of different verticals, but specifically healthcare is one that we target and we work within pretty regularly. Makes up a pretty large base of our current client base, which is roughly 4,200 total clients, but about 20-30% make up the healthcare space. Then you go into education, finance as well. The financial vertical is a big one with the different certifications we have in place. Essentially, folks who are in a highly regulated industry are ideal clients for folks that we really want to partner with and who want to partner with us as well.
Yeah, and Jamie, I would reflect also that when we look at the overall space, it's that mid-enterprise that we play very, very well in with all of our capabilities, whether they're co-location, cloud, or managed services. Those mid-enterprise customers, we do a very, very good job with.
So you mentioned healthcare, education, finance, mid-enterprise, and colo cloud managed services. Are there any particular regions that you guys, those products and services really resonate in?
Well, the regions, I say geographically, we'll touch on this a little bit further down the presentation, but we have 41 data centers and 13 cloud pods nationally, and they're spread out through the country. And again, I think that's something that separates us from our competitive peers. Our breadth of services extend across many different regions within the U.S. and internationally. But with that capability, we have 1,000 employees that support all of that capability, and I think we're very well positioned to meet that mid-enterprise and smaller to large enterprise capabilities. We have the services to meet those demands.
And so, how long is a traditional client engagement? Do clients stay with you for 3 months, 1 year, 5 years? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of across the board. It's really based on the project that they might be engaging us for. I can say with the experience I've had in the organization, some of my clients are with me since day one, 8 years. Some of my other colleagues who've been here longer and have longer tenure have longer relationships with some other clients. And that said, we have clients that are here for us for a year period of time. So it really is across the board. I think on average, right now it's around 36 to 42 months is an average client that's with us.
Yeah, so Jamie, I would reflect that our services are extremely sticky. So as a channel partner, it's important to note, right, as you're making an investment in your client, you hopefully would sell services to them that remain sticky and they stay engaged. So once our clients are engaged with us and commit to us, it's not only difficult for them to move off of that, but they choose not to, because I think the key differentiator for us is our client support. And with that, they tend to stay with us for the long term.
Wonderful, wonderful. Love that stickiness. Can't get enough. What does the typical sales cycle look like? What's the average time to get that prospect to sign?
Usually 30 to 90 days, depending on the size of the engagement. Some of the engagements are highly transactional, and we knock them down pretty quickly within 30 days. But typically, the larger engagements tend to extend to around 90 days.
That's great. And looking forward, what do you say in the next 12 months is the top trend or service that your company will be leveraging?
I can say, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, When you look at where we really play well in is the hybrid IT story. So it's co-location and it's cloud and it's managed services. And we extend, and we'll talk about this later, we extend into the public cloud. So we have tremendous connectivity into that. So when you look at the broad spectrum of services that we could provide, I would say the trend is leaning towards in the mid-enterprise. They're looking to evolve out. If they own their own data center now, they're perfectly comfortable with the outsourced data center model. It's become very mature. It's become very, very stable. And really, it's not key to any of their core businesses. So it's not something that they really want to be in. So they have a tendency to evolve to our 41 data centers, typically as a co-location customer, but then also they extend into our cloud capabilities, and then we give them the ability to extend into the hyperscalers as well. So with those on-ramps into those hyperscalers, we address the entire continuum, and they have the ability to on-ramp into any one of our capabilities. But I would say trend, it's really talking with the customer, engaging with them where they are in their life cycle, and then we have the capability to on-ramp them into any one of our services depending on where they're at.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I will leave the reins over to you, gentlemen. Go ahead and take it away with your presentation.
Jamie, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And that's a great introduction. And again, I want to thank you and Buffy for putting this together and pulling your partners together and giving us the opportunity to talk about who we are and the fact that we're new to the region, especially in the Northeast. It's a great opportunity for us. So thank you again. So, Jared, you want to start it off?
Sure. So yeah, there we go. The quick agenda. We've already gone through the introductions. You guys already know who we are. This is great. And I can't echo Ken enough in terms of thanks and for everybody that has joined us today as well. We'll go through who we are and talk a little bit about at a high level about how we bring our products to the market, how we work with our partners, and how we help our partners also be successful. Go through strengths and differentiators, portfolio services, customers we serve, and we'll leave some time at the end hopefully for a question and answer. So, Flexential at a glance, we've been in business for a number of years. We started, two companies coming together, essentially a company called BioWest, another company called Peak 10. And January of this past year, we rebranded to Flexential. Over that period of time when Peak 10 and BioWest had merged last summer, as a matter of fact, we're celebrating our 1-year birthday today, as a matter of fact, with the two companies coming together. We took some time to talk to our clients and how do we come and about how we're going to rebrand ourselves and how we're going to be viewed in the market. So Flexential is essentially two words put together: flexible and essential to their business. Power of people through a technical world as well, in terms of how we partner with those organizations and why our clients have helped us be in business as long as we have. We're backed by a company called GI Partners, $16 billion in private equity. We have 18 years of overall data center services experience, and that also spans managed hosting and cloud and managed services there. We like to talk about our Net Promoter Score because it's a very important indicator of how our customers view us out there and how we've helped support them through their life cycle with us. Our revenues, $473 million in 2017, and we're on track to eclipse that number hopefully here in 2018 and beyond. I mentioned a little bit before in the introductions about the number of clients we have and the various industries they span, and we'll go through that here in a little bit as well. Ken touched on the number of data centers and our cloud nodes, but in addition to those, we also have our Flexential professional services team, which we'll talk about a little bit as well and why that makes it different.
Yeah.
And then I'll turn it over to Ken.
So Jared, just to add a little bit more color there. So for everybody that's with us today, we're 18 years of experience. The two companies came together the latter part of actually the middle of last year. And both companies are very, very similar. But BioWest had a tremendous reputation and presence in the West. Peak 10 has a tremendous reputation and footprint in the Southeast, but neither company had any real traction in the Northeast except for a Allentown cloud pod. that was acquired with ViaWest, legacy iNetU. So when the two companies came together, they felt it was very, very important to establish a strong presence in the Northeast. And we've done that by acquiring a data center in Collegeville, PA, which many of you may be aware of already, but we acquired the GlaxoSmithKline data center just outside of Philadelphia. And it is, I would consider, and I've been in this space for 25 years already, and I would say that this is probably the premier multi-tenant data center certainly in the Philadelphia region, but almost throughout the entire Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. It's that dynamic of a data center. So that was the 41st of our 41 data centers that we put online and have online, and it's connected into our backbone. And it's a significant addition to the company, and it's a great entree into the Northeast, and we'll continue to build out the Northeast as we go. But Collegeville is our first entree, and we're excited. So I'll make this offer to everybody on the phone. We would really love for you to come out and visit the data center at any time, because I think you'll agree with me that it is an exceptional architecture, unique to the industry, and certainly unique to the region. So we look forward to that. Absolutely.
So, onto the next slide, some of our capabilities here. Ken touched on our backbone. All of our 41 data centers are connected via our 100 gig backbone. Our Hillsboro data center out in Oregon is connected to Asia Pac through the undersea cable that's coming through there and landing in that data center, which works out nicely for some of our clients who need that connectivity over in that neck of the woods. 3 million square feet of data center footprint across our fleet, and 31 different industries, leveraging those resources. In terms of our employees, we have some of the best that are out there, if not the best that are out there, in terms of who are supporting our clients on a day-to-day basis, whether that be simple tasks related to remote hands, 24/7 in any of our data centers, or if it's actual application level or platform management level support through our professional services team.
I'd say specifically, Jared, those 1,000 employees, I think what differentiates us from our competitive peers is something that's unique, especially for me being in the industry this long. 600 of those employees are engineers. So we've invested heavily in the engineering capabilities of the company to support our customers. And then all 600 are ITIL certified, which is unique. So when we talk about process and we talk about addressing the highly regulated industries, having not only that engineering capability, but their understanding of process and what it takes to actually deliver services to a customer, that is a key differentiator. And I think that comes back to that Net Promoter Score. It's best in class, certainly, in our industry. And it's because of those 1,000 employees that sit behind us.
Yeah, and I'd like to, talk a little more about that and why that's important. Kind of looping it back, why it's important to our partners, but also our partners' customers, is that having that level of support available to our end users and our customers allows them to return their focus back on their core competencies, not have to focus on server management or firewall management. Focus on their end users, focus on their data, focus on their applications. We can then focus on ours, and collectively then, between our partners and then our partners' clients, we can be always successful together. It's been a great model over the last 18 years.
So I would say a little bit more about our strengths and our differentiators. When we talk about a client-centric approach, it's going back to a tagline that we've created for the company as we've come together as one. We talk a lot about the power of people in a technical world. And again, we emphasize those 1,000 employees on the back end and what they can provide to our end customers. It's all about consultative design, being able to sit down with a client and really understand what their needs are and be professional about pulling those needs back in and being able to articulate them back to them in a way that they actually understand in their language. And then as we bring customers on, we want to make sure that customer experience is superb. And I think that's what separates us from our competitive peers. So that onboarding process is key to us, because if we can make them comfortable and successful on the front end of any engagement that we provide, the stickiness for you as partners just goes along with it, right? We'll retain that customer for a very long time. And then what we do in the process is we're constantly talking to them, being a trusted advisor and talking about their business and their planning of their business to make sure that we're staying on the front end of their growth and we have the capability to support them with their growth. And again, we're going to go back and touch on that proactive support, being able to support our clients on the front end. We have, and this is something that's, I think, unique relative to our competitive peers. We've specifically assigned what we call client success managers to every one of our customers, and they assist us not only on the sales side, but in interfacing with our customers on a daily basis to make sure that we're doing all the things that are important to them and their business. And I think that's, again, something that separates us from our competitive peers.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're thinking about being proactive as opposed to reactive in this space, what it also does is it saves a lot of time in the long run, and identifying a potential problem before it becomes an application impacting event or an infrastructure impacting event. So getting out ahead of that first, again, saves a lot of time not only for us as an organization, but for our partners as well. And then that transitions nicely into continuous business planning. Through the role of our client success managers, in conjunction oftentimes with the partners that we have in place already, is understanding our clients' future needs. Sitting down with them quarterly or monthly, depending on who the client might be, and asking them, what are the changes? What are you expecting? What are happening? Maybe they're a software as a service provider and they're getting ready to sell in the healthcare space, and maybe it's the EMR, and they're getting ready to sell to another 500 doctor practice, for example, and they're expecting a bunch more data into their infrastructure. What does that mean? How's that going to impact the environment, and plan for that before that actually before it becomes critical to their bringing that client on board.
So here, again, we're going to re-emphasize the abilities that and the capabilities that we provide, and specifically around the quality of service, the compliance that we wrap around our services, and ideally in the highly regulated industry, it's security that is first and foremost. So this just gives you a snapshot of some of our certifications, and really to emphasize high trust, especially in the healthcare marketplace. A lot of our competitors can say that they're HIPAA compliant. It's pretty easy to get HIPAA compliant, but it takes a significant effort to gain high trust compliance. And I can say that we're one of the few North American service providers in our space that is high trust certified. So when we go to the marketplace, specifically with healthcare and all of their data needs and all the security that sits behind their data needs, having that high trust certification on the front end answers a lot of questions. So you as a partner can feel confident as you're bringing our services and our capabilities to your clients. Having those kinds of certifications differentiates us in the industry, but it also provides that confidence that you're presenting a vendor and a trusted advisor to your customers that have all of these skills and these certifications in place. So we've gone to great lengths to wrap compliance around all of our service capabilities, and I think that gives the assurance to your clients that our capabilities are there to meet their needs.
Yeah, and looping back to what we're talking about regarding our latest data center in Collegeville, I mentioned before about highly regulated industries and why folks in highly regulated industries like to work with us. It's because of data centers like Collegeville, and why we brought that one on board, and why we acquired that one to add to our fleet, given the previous tenant and the current tenant that's in there now. So quality, compliance, and security are all very important things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis with our clients. And I mentioned before about our professional services team. We can dig in as much as penetration testing, or when it comes to HIPAA and high trust certifications, helping with conducting those audits and going through HIPAA assessments and making sure that our clients have all the policies and procedures in place. And that works nicely for our partners who are looking for someone that can help their clients who have those specific needs, whether they need colo or cloud, but just need general support in that area. We certainly can assist there as well.
So, Jared, as we move on to this slide, I think you brought up Collegeville, and I think it's a great example of capability, but also really maybe to talk a little bit about the process that we went through to acquire that Collegeville data center that's now in our footprint. It was a former GlaxoSmithKline data center, so the fourth largest pharmaceutical in the world. They built this data center, and there's a picture of it on the screen there, the front entrance. But it's a data center that they architected to meet their global needs, and they recognized early on that they way overbuilt the data center, and it gave us an opportunity for what they were really looking for is to find a partner who had the skills and the capability to actually come in and manage the data center for them. So it was a sale leaseback of that data center. They are the anchor tenant, and we use them as a reference. They are a great reference for us, and they speak very highly of us. But they went through the process. It was a detailed process. They just didn't want to pick any provider on the back end to manage their data center. This is their global IT infrastructure. There's all the pharma data that sits in that data center is key to their business. It is the lifeblood of their business. So they just didn't want to pick any one provider to just come in and run that data center for them. They went through an exhaustive search, multiple years, and then they finally came to the conclusion that Peak 10 and ViaWest combined together with all of their expertise was the right partner to partner with them to deliver the services for them. They're our customer. It's our data center. We own it. We operate it. They're the anchor tenant, but they wanted to make sure that they chose the right team behind them. And that goes a long way to say what our capabilities are. When the fourth largest pharmaceutical company in the world relies so heavily on us and our capabilities. So really just going down the list, I think that's one of the things that makes us different. But just touching on a couple of things, again, I think it's exceptional customer satisfaction. GSK did the exhaustive search to make sure that if they were going to be a customer of ours, that it was going to be an exceptional experience for them. Some of the things relative to our physical capability, the edge coverage of the U.S. marketplace. So we have these 41 data centers that are built out through all the U.S. and international. But what we've done is we've tied them together with an exceptional network backbone that ties all 41 data centers together. We'll talk about it in detail later. But that is a differentiator for us. These essentially have become edge data centers, and we'll talk about it a little bit later about how we're addressing really the needs of the enterprise of the future. And again, I think talking about that 100 gig backbone, it's scalable to 400 gigs. So we've architected the backbone where as customers come on board and they need services to move workloads throughout the network and get them closer to your customer, we've actually built the backbone to deliver the needs of the future and enterprise requirements. And again, touching on those 600 ITIL certified professionals, it really separates us from our competitive peers, and it really demonstrates that we emphasize the importance of the skills that are sitting behind our services. We continue to invest heavily, right? So if you go back to 2017, we did close to $500 million in revenue, 40% profit margin, and $200 million of invested back into the business. So we're investing a large portion of our profits back into the business to grow this thing out, because we recognize that in order to scale in this space with our competitors, it's really important to invest heavily. So you as a partner of ours, you know that you're getting an exceptional back capabilities and the backing of our partners who are investing heavily in our business going forward. So I think it just reassures that you as a partner, as you're bringing your customers to us and we're assisting you with your clients, you know that the resources sit there. So some of the things that I think are important. I want to touch on really our capabilities overall, really talk about the high level of all the solutions that we provide.
Absolutely. So, when you think about a solutions portfolio, you want to make sure you cover a lot of the key things that people are asking for in the IT space, particularly as a data center and cloud provider. So, first and foremost, co-location. That is one of the lifebloods of us as an organization and why a lot of our clients select us. But also too is cloud. And it's whether you're leveraging our own public cloud that we have in our 13 different cloud nodes, or if you're leveraging us for the hyperscalers like AWS, Azure, and Google. Connectivity. We mentioned the 100 gig backbone, all our data centers being connected to that, and then also having the ability to connect your colo environment into a public cloud environment for the ability to burst as needed. Managed solutions, taking some of, I mentioned those core competencies off of your plate, putting them on ours, and then collectively being successful together. And then wrapping that all up with a nice big bow with professional services. And whether that might be, like I said, platform management or DevOps as a service or security, PCI audits, maybe you need a QSA, those types of things, all of which we can certainly address and help through a hybrid IT type approach.
Yeah, and I would say also that the nice thing about the breadth of capabilities is we can address a customer's needs no matter where they are within the continuum, right? So if they're looking for specific for just cloud capability, we have the ability to on-ramp them onto our services for the cloud. If they have professional services capabilities, pen testing, we have the capability of on-ramping them onto our services just with that specifically. If they have a co-location need to start out, depending where they're at, we can address their needs on the front end, get them into the continuum and evolve their capabilities. So as a partner, one of the key things here is we can address your customers' needs no matter where they're at within their life cycle. And once they're a customer of ours and a customer of yours, we can expand that, I would say, share of the wallet with that partner, that customer, and we can help you grow your business because of the breadth of services that we offer.
Yeah, and lastly, to this slide, one thing I've seen and some of the other experience I've had with my other partners, particularly when they have clients that are in the mid-market space or even maybe somewhat smaller, they're starting to dip their toe in the water with taking some of those solutions and services and core competencies outside of their own data centers and moving into someone like us with solutions like DRaaS or disaster recovery as a service. So we certainly, that might be sometimes our first foray, if you will, with a partner engagement with one of their clients. So those are the types of things that we can offer too, which then also help open up the portfolio to that client, the other services we can provide over time.
So here's a slide that really shows the breadth of our capabilities. It's the national footprint. It's all 41 data centers within 21 regions. So if you look at the left side of the slide, it's the data center footprint. It shows the regions that we're in. We have multiple data centers within some of these regions, obviously. But again, for Philadelphia, our first entree into the Northeast from a co-location standpoint is in Philadelphia, just outside of Philadelphia in Collegeville. We'll continue to expand throughout the Northeast. We're actually looking at data centers in the northern Jersey area, and we'll just continue to grow out of the Northeast. So Philadelphia is really our first entree into the Northeast. The Allentown Cloud Pod that exists, again, it was legacy iNetU that was acquired by ViaWest. Of the 13 cloud pods that exist within our footprint, again, all connected together so we can move workloads throughout the country and closer to where our clients need them for their customers. But that cloud pod in Allentown, out of all 13, is by far the most robust cloud platform that exists. It has 600 customers, 600 plus customers that reside on that cloud platform, and it has some of the largest revenue producers within the company from a cloud perspective. So a very robust cloud footprint in Allentown. Again, we talked about the edge capability. Shifting over to the network slide, it shows all of the connectivity of the data centers together, and more importantly, and most importantly, we have low latency connectivity to the hyperscalers, the AWS and the Azures and the Googles of the world. We have those on-ramps into the hyperscalers, those public clouds. So customers, again, talking about the continuum, where they're at, if they need to move services or have services in the public cloud space, we have the capability to get them low latency connectivity, which ultimately results into a better experience for their customers.
Absolutely. All right.
Next slide.
Yep. So, just to kind of reiterate some of the things we've been talking about so far today, this slide really kind of gives you an idea of the mix between how our business is laid out from a solutions and services portfolio perspective. I mentioned data center, and that doesn't surprise me that that's the largest portion of the pie chart here with the 41 locations. But then managed services, cloud, and oftentimes when you look at managed solutions and cloud, they're one and the same, particularly from the managed hosting perspective. And then our network capabilities too, and how that drills down from a pie chart perspective there. Excellent.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide.
So when you think about hybrid infrastructure services, public cloud, private cloud, compliant cloud, and multi-tenant, as well as our co-location capabilities. Being able to burst out or leverage AWS, Azure, and Google, if you've designed your applications to leverage those platforms, they're very powerful, and we can help provide guidance there, and even build out solutions and manage on top of those for you, so that way you can continue to only focus on, as I mentioned, your code and application. If you want to develop or design and deploy a private cloud with us, we're happy to help and talk you through that and take you down that road and help deploy that and manage it for you also. When you think about compliance, whether it be PCI compliance or high trust or HIPAA compliance, again, we have a cloud that meets those needs too, and partner with folks like AlertLogic as an example to safeguard those systems.
I would say one of the things here about this slide, maybe it looks a little bit noisy, but the reality is for any enterprise customer, they could be anywhere within this life cycle of capability. And a perfect example is a lot of the enterprise, when the public cloud got established 6-7 years ago, a lot of the C-level within the enterprise said, hey, we need to be in the cloud, we need to be in the cloud. They jumped into the public cloud, not necessarily knowing exactly what it was, and they have workloads up there that candidly really don't match their needs. And they kind of lost control of it to a certain extent. And so there's virtual server sprawl up in the cloud. They didn't really understand the pricing model about the connectivity of moving data in and out of the public cloud. And over time, it's interesting, the enterprise is making that shift. I think the pendulum's so far to one side, it's actually making that shift back to the middle now. And candidly, we're that sweet spot, right? So we have the capability of taking customers who are currently in the public cloud and need to move back into a more custom cloud capability, whether it's a private cloud of their own that sits in a data center that they can wrap their arms around, or it's a multi-tenant cloud where they just need capabilities that remain on site and highly certified and have all the security features that they need, as opposed to having those workloads in the public cloud. A lot of that capability has shifted back into ours. So the nice takeaway here is no matter where your customer is in their life cycle, we have the capability of on-ramping them into services and actually helping them evolve as they grow. So,
so the types of verticals and customers that we serve, again, we talked a little bit about this before, so we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this slide, but it gives you an idea of how there's a distribution there. And why this is important for our partners is that they can get more comfort in knowing that whether your client is looking for a pure colo type partner or provider, we can certainly support that and do a great job. Whether it's a pure cloud type engagement that your client might be looking for, we're happy to help there also. If it's a combination, again, we can do a great job in either area, and with the end goal of helping our partners be successful, because when they're successful, their clients are being successful. So keeping that all in mind, as we move forward and we continue to build relationships out there.
And I think this is really the last slide that we wanted to emphasize. I think it's important for you as partners of ours to recognize who we have as customers and what industries we play best in. And you can see that there's some pretty decent logos that exist here, and we cover all industries, but again, emphasizing the highly regulated industries. And I can tell you, the Allentown Cloud, as a for instance, Sony Music sits on in our enterprise cloud. They're going to be down here next week in Bethlehem for a music fest.
Absolutely.
They all come in to share in that with us, but we manage all of their artist websites.
correct?
On the Allentown cloud, and it's amazing the amount of money they spend with us. But that just gives you an idea of the breadth of capability that we provide and what we can support. So I think it's a nice way to wrap up the formal presentation, to just say, hey, look, here's some of the logos that we represent, and we would love to add through you partners, through the partners of Chorus, more logos that are impressive. So 4,200 customers strong. We plan to scale that and grow that pretty dramatically here in the next couple of years. We'd love for you guys to participate in that. So with that, Jamie, I'm just going to say we can wrap up and open it up for questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. We want to hear from our audience, our channel partners, on what they want to know specifically about Flexential. So we're looking at this chat box here. We're going to start right from the top and make sure we can get through as many as possible. You left us a good amount of time, so I think we can do it. So right off, we'll start with Anthony. Anthony, thank you for pre-submitting your questions. You got 4 of them here, all great. Do you have a VDI offering? Ken, you want to take that?
Yeah, we're gonna tag team that. Yes, we do, but we actually what we do is we do it through a third party. So there's some things that we're very, very good at. The back end capability is obviously stuff that we deliver on, but VDI specifically, we know that we have some very, very robust partners in the VDI space to provide that capability for us. So we do it through a third party.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether a third party has that VDI pod in one of our data centers, or they're leveraging their own pod elsewhere, that's certainly something we're able to point our clients in the direction of and help meet their needs. Actually, right now, presently, with a local large healthcare provider, I'm working with one of our partners for a VDI solution. So yeah, absolutely something we can do.
Wonderful. And Anthony also asks, is Smart Hands offered at each of your 41 data centers?
Yeah, so Anthony, that's a great question, and that's key to our support. So absolutely, yes. 24 by 365 support in all of our data centers, certainly from a remote hands, smart hands capability, and from the managed services perspective, because I think that's a gray area. They kind of blend together, but it's important that that expertise exists in those data centers. And yes, we do have that capability, obviously needed for our customers to make sure that we can support them 24 by 365.
And then, and even if you wanted to go back to your data center footprint maps slide.
Sure.
His question was, are there overseas locations? And off the top of my head, I'm saying yes, London and Amsterdam. Is that right?
Yeah, so Amsterdam is considered one of our cloud pods. And yes, through GDPR and the needs there that our clients in the EU have, we certainly can provide guidance and assistance there, as well as around our Flexential professional services team, help with navigating GDPR and what that means to the market. But yeah, in Amsterdam, we certainly have some capabilities that we can talk with our clients on and get them pointed in the right direction for as well.
So Jamie, just extending on that, really, since you have the map up, it's really important to highlight our Asia-Pac connectivity. We're one of the few providers that have that capability, and it is a low latency undersea capability that extends to the Asia-Pac. And we have those POPs already set in place. So as we continue to evolve our footprint, we'll have physical presences in the Asia-Pac from a co-location and cloud perspective, but we already have the connectivity in place, and we're one of the few companies that have that low latency undersea capability to extend. So it's become an interesting. Portland is an on-ramp for a lot of large enterprise that need Asia-Pac connectivity, and the hyperscalers as well. They look at that as a key component to their success in the Asia-Pac.
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, Chris Downey was stressing that on a JSA TV interview I had with him earlier this year, and I was blown away by this Portland access point to the Asia-Pac. So amazing, very unique offering that you bring to the table as a data center operator. Okay, so last question from Anthony. Do they offer advanced endpoint protection as part of your core services?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so yes, we do, and then we can do that a couple different ways. By default, any of our clients' network and infrastructure is protected because we offer on top of our network DDoS mitigation. So we're watching our network and protecting at that point at the very beginning. After that, we can then get even more detail in the stack there regarding actual firewall support management and monitoring, looping our professional services team into protecting and safeguarding the client end site as well from an endpoint protection perspective, as well as really getting the details around what that means for that end user and their end users as a result.
Yeah, I think another point, when we talk about this 100 gig backbone scalable to 400 gig that's connecting all the data centers together, one thing to emphasize as far as advanced endpoint protection, right? So we can hand off to our clients layer 2 connectivity, redundant layer 2 connectivity from any one of our data centers to another data center. So a specific example is a lot of customers do primary and secondary site locations, and having that connectivity, that redundant connectivity between those 2 data centers that is low latency and highly redundant is critical. So when we talk about the mid-enterprise and healthcare and the large financials, having that kind of connectivity and protection, both from a redundancy standpoint, layer 2, we hand off layer 2 to them so they can put anything that they choose to on that backbone. That is very, very key, and it is a differentiator between us and I think our competitive peers, where our competitive peers, I think, have built a hodgepodge of connectivity between their other centers. We really dug into the details to make sure that we architected a backbone that really meets the demands of the enterprise coming, right? So as the enterprise workloads want and need to get closer and closer to their customer from a latency perspective, we have the ability on our backbone to move our customers' workloads closer to the customer. And that's why we're calling our 41 data centers edge data centers. So it's all about the connectivity. It is highly strategic for us. And Jamie, you know, when you talk to Chris Downey, our CEO, he emphasized that as being a critical component to our success.
Yep, getting those clients to the edge. Definitely big, very big. And moving to Christy Love's question, I love this because it's a little bit more back-end office, something that we all need to know about, of course. Mm-hmm. Do you have a partner portal that not only shows us commissions and billings, but also helps us manage our client services?
So yeah, it's a great question. And as the 2 companies combine, there are going to be various features added to the client portal. We do have one presently today that our clients and partners interact with. Our partners interact with to let us know of potential opportunities and who to talk to and what the nature is of the opportunity, as well as get details and additional education from us that is beneficial to our partners. So yeah, as time, as the integrations continue, yeah, there'll be features like that that'll be available. Today, day one, I don't believe it's as
it's not as robust as it needs to be.
Yeah.
We know that.
Right.
Another reason why we have 2 channel managers in the region, we're emphasizing the Northeast as being strategic for us. So we're definitely putting the resources behind that, both from personnel and technology. We'll continue to evolve the portal as we go. As the 2 companies have merged together, both companies had customer, I would say partner-facing portals. We're in the process of evolving that. So we'll see that over the next few quarters that will evolve and we'll have access to that. Absolutely.
Awesome. And actually, Amy, I think your question was probably typed in before they had that fabulous slide. Mm-hmm. But to your point, anything more that you want to talk about regarding their client silos, healthcare, etc., their verticals that they're approaching, and maybe some benefits that they bring to healthcare specifically? Or I'll let you do your question. And I'll unmute you as well.
I can't read her lips. I would love to.
I have her unmuted on my end. Amy?
I was doubly muted, sorry. I was,
Amy?
That slide was a big help. I was actually very surprised to see such a large quadrant in the government and education space. So I just figured with the high trust piece, and I wasn't so sure if everyone's as familiar with high trust and why that's so important. Mary did a nice job in the chat box explaining what it was, but I just figured if there was any certain verticals that you guys really hit home runs with, it's always good to mention, with the audience that we have on board today.
Yeah, again, we can't reemphasize enough the highly regulated industries, and obviously high trust, to your point, Amy, is significant, right? A lot of our competitive peers say that they're HIPAA certified, but to be able to get that high trust compliance and certification is a large step above that. And so we've made the efforts on the back end from a security perspective and a compliance perspective, and we've invested heavily to make sure that our customers recognize that security is priority one. So, and that really gives us the ability to address, I would say, those highly regulated industries. So when you talk about government and you talk about financial and you talk about insurance, those are the customers that we're comfortable with. And the beauty of that is when you do a good job in that space, all the other industries that are around that or in that space or even outside of that space, they can be assured that we have all of the features built in to support their needs.
Do those clients have to go with a high trust certified location, or is it just obviously preferable? Like, do they have to?
They don't necessarily have to, but we're seeing more and more that the request is being made. So when we see large RFPs come out now, they're specifically stating the need to have high trust certification. As a competitive peer, you might be able to dance around that to a certain extent, but it goes a long way to say that you have that compliance and that certification in place. It takes a lot of questions off the table.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and to add to that, so the high trust certification definitely works nicely and helps give our clients that additional peace of mind knowing that they're in a data center that is monitored and protected and that their data will be protected. But we'll even go a step further and do things like business associates agreements, particularly in the healthcare space. And why that's important for our end users and clients, particularly in healthcare, is in that it gives them the additional peace of mind that as a covered entity, that we are doing the right things to ensure that their data, their infrastructure, that the policies and procedures we have around that are covered under that BAA. So those are things we'll also talk about and work through with the end users also.
Now I'd like to bring in Rob for his questions as well. He had a question come in this morning about a particular proposal. So Rob, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, thanks, Jane. Something just came in about an hour before we started this presentation about a client, and coincidentally being a pharma client, getting into a data center, but they need some help with some of their internal, operating systems and software that run the company type of thing. I think you guys touched on it already as I kind of listened through, but those kind of services outside of the box, just outside of the power space, is it something you do? But I think the answer is yes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. First we want to talk with that customer about what those applications are and the drivers around it. But certainly those are things that we do engage in and can provide some guidance on. And if it's a unique application that perhaps isn't the right fit, we'll find someone who is. But for the most part, it's very rare that we have to turn anything away. So yeah, absolutely, we're happy to talk through that and learn more.
Yeah, so Rob, we have the skills to be able to sit down with the customer and help them figure that out. And that's important to know because for a customer to make a decision to come into a data, especially in the pharma industry, to come into a outsourced provider, they want to feel comfortable that that provider has the skill set and the capability to evolve with them as they get more and more comfortable with that outsourced capabilities. It's interesting. They start to hand off more of those services that aren't key to their core, but obviously important enough, right? And so when they make the decision to come to a colo provider, they want to see the capabilities that sit behind that from a managed services perspective, because they know over time, they would like to typically move more and more services that aren't core to their business to somebody that can deliver that on a daily basis. So to answer your question, yes, we have the capability, and it's critical for us to articulate that effectively on the front end with our clients and our prospects to make sure that they feel comfortable that those capabilities will not only exist, but will continue to evolve as technology evolves, and we'll have those skill sets there for them.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt either, guys, that obviously you're in a prior Glaxo facility, right? Like you said earlier on in the presentation. So it's kind of pre-qualified, I guess you could say. The only other question I have, and again, I saw your map and was about Montclair, New Jersey. I happened to be on a presentation in healthcare again yesterday, and they're looking at data centers up in North Jersey, New York area. But it doesn't mean that you're out of the mix. I was just curious because I think the gentleman, the CIO I was talking to, kind of wanted to be close enough yet far enough away kind of thing. So
sure. Yeah, Rob, it's interesting. So we've had a number of large pharma already tour the data center, and actually pretty far down the path with a couple of them. When I first introduced the other pharmas to this data center of ours in Collegeville, I thought that they would have reservations to coming to another data center that where the fourth largest pharma sits in. It actually, to the contrary, to my pleasant surprise, that's where they want to be, right? Because they know all the compliance already exists. All the capabilities that they need already exist. The fact that we're supporting GlaxoSmithKline, they're very, very comfortable touring the data center and being there. They have no problem sitting next to a competitor because they know that the capabilities are exactly what they need. So we would, if there's any way to tease them into coming to visit Collegeville, I'm telling you, you wouldn't be disappointed. I think Amy's already seen the data center, so she knows the capabilities that sit behind it. We'd love to entertain that for you.
Well, the funny thing is, guys, I before I moved into the city close to the office, I used to live like about a mile from there. So I used to pass by 22 all the time. Yeah, I'm real familiar with it there.
Great spot.
Yeah, I might be able to talk this guy into it. So kind of coming to a theater near you, but he also has an Azure, interest too. So I'll follow up with you guys offline on it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, so Rob, the takeaway there with Azure, and a lot of the large enterprise are doing the same thing. The nice thing about our backbone, and this is what differentiates us from our competitors, is we've architected our backbone so there's low latency connectivity directly to the hyperscalers, right? And that's something that differentiates us. So if they, again, going back to that continuum where they need to be, we can assist them with those on-ramps. So if they're sitting in one of our data centers, they have low latency access to the hyperscalers, which is unique and a differentiator. Absolutely.
Very cool. I'll definitely follow up with you guys on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
I know I'm booking a tour as soon as I can get myself over to Collegeville, PA, because that
love to have you.
Sounds amazing.
Always welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Ken McCoy, Jared Wilter, Flexential, always a great source of innovation and education. So thank you.
Always fun for us, and we love being a partner with Chorus. You guys have always been good to us, so thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
thanks, guys.
And Chorus, what an amazing webinar series. I'm so appreciative to be part of this because every week we learn something new. And we should say 4 more weeks to go. Next week we have Rapid Scale, and then up on deck, Fuse, Comcast, and 365 data centers. That'll bring us right through August. So don't miss a single Wednesday, guys. Again, a bonus for those who attend all 7 webinars. And I know many of these folks are full attendance so far. So we've got a lot of bonuses, hopefully. So if you've already, thank you again, Ken McCoy and Jared Welter, Flexential. And to our partner, Eat Engage, if you were happy with your lunch, please contact your Chorus channel manager if you'd like to use this registration lunch ordering service for your next lunchtime proposal. And don't worry, I have not forgotten, we did a drawing for the winner of the $100 gift certificate from the folks who provided a pre-submitted question. And the winner of the $100 gift certificate, thanks to Flexential and Chorus Communications, is Christy Love. So congratulations, Christy.
Oh,
Yay.
yay, Christy.
Thanks everyone again for joining. I am your summer school host, Jamie Scott-Aktai of JSA, and see you next week, same time, same day for the next episode of Chorus Summer School Lunch and Learn. Happy networking.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks, Buffy.
Bye, guys.
See ya.